Hello and welcome everybody to the 24th episode of the Oreninc podcast series with Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist. He's joining me today from Vancouver. Mickey, thanks for making the time this morning.
Thanks for having me once again, Kai.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I appreciate you always making the time for us here and sharing your insights in the markets with us. And as always, we've prepared just a little agenda we're going to talk about as usual. So we've got a couple of regular listeners from what I hear. With our Oreninc Index, we're just briefly going to talk about what we've seen in the markets. Not much. and
True.
then Mickey and I were going to discuss the current political situation worldwide, what's happening in Europe, how is that influencing the markets, and we'll round up things off with our number of the week. To start things off first, though, I want to congratulate Mickey again for winning our little side bet we had here at the Vancouver conference. It's the International Mining Investor Conference, and we had a side bet going of who'd have more listeners at their talk. And obviously, Mickey, you just had the better position and the better workshop you were in, right? Right by the entrance.
Well, it might have to do. I talked about gold, so.
No, it was interesting because we were competing at times, right? So we both were on Tuesday, I think, at 1 p.m. at the same time, and it was quite interesting. Why not make things a little more interesting and bet a little bit? Why not? So, and I definitely enjoyed having a bottle of wine with you. So that was fantastic.
Well, definitely enjoyed that, and my standard bet is $100 bottle of wine, and the loser pays, and we drink it together. So no one really loses.
No, I didn't feel like a loser that afternoon, so that was fantastic. But back on topic here real quick. We're going to talk about the Oreninc Index and what we've seen over the last 10 days here pretty much. And to start us off here, I'm just going to talk about the total number of financings, and that number has crumbled to pretty much a year low of 13 financings. We mentioned it's an 11-week low, but if you don't count the PDAC week when everybody's traveling and on the road and nobody's looking at deals really, this is the all year low, like the 2018 low so far. And I mentioned it before. I'm very cautious saying it, but it does feel like a bear market. And looking at the overall dollars raised and the number of deals, we're back at levels between 2015 and 2016. And that is sort of depressing because not much is happening. We've only seen 2 brokered financings in the last week, so only for $10.8 million, 1 bought deal for $7 million, and only $38.8 million announced. That's very low. Also, the average number or the average deal size declined again to $2.9 million last week. So that is fairly low, but overall, I think whoever attended my presentation in Vancouver 10 days ago will see that because of the strategic activity, the overall deal size in 2018 has picked up to $4.1 million, up from 3.3 in 2017 over the first 4 months. So I don't call it a bear market. I'm very cautious with that word. It definitely feels like one, but I don't think we're in it just because of that number of the average deal size. And there is money raised. Financings are being done on the back of decent drill holes. And I think the good management teams are definitely in, I've been saying that before, and I sound like a broken record, but good management teams and good projects keep raising money. Best example, Silvercrest last week, $17 million bought deal. I hear it was oversubscribed, and other financings are happening as we speak right now that are looking like they're going to be oversubscribed. I think Probe Metals looks quite interesting, and other deals as well. So, enough of me rambling. Mickey, let's talk about what's happening, what's influencing the markets, where can we see some impulses coming from?
Well, one thing we've talked about this year is the fact that the commodities have moved up or down for the most part, depending on the strength or weakness of the U.S. dollar. And year to date, the dollar has not moved that much from the beginning to today, about 2.5%. It's up. But if we look over the last 6 weeks, the U.S. dollar is up nearly 6 points. Went from 89.4 to 94.7. I should say 6%, about 5.3 points. And the commodities haven't really responded. And so my take would be that finally geopolitical events are starting to move commodities up and down. And we have some examples over the last month or so, 6 weeks. U.S. exited the Iran deal. and oil reacted quite violently, went up from about $66 to over $72. Now it's pulled back since then on OPEC Russian news that they're going to increase, or likely going to increase, oil production. For the last couple of months, we've got this ongoing trade war talk. As it's really played out, we've learned the U.S. target are bifold, and that would be China and Russia, and everybody else is going to get a break on this. But that's a geopolitical situation that seems to be able to move the base metals, especially up or down on a daily basis. We have the on again, off again North Korean U.S. detente, and markets, especially gold in this instance, have been moving because of that. And then this morning, we started when London was closing, the price was of gold was 1304 on London close, and New York open. It dropped like a rocket, dropped $10, and then it spurted right back up. And this has to do with political situations in the Eurozone, specifically Italy and Spain, which both look like they may have upcoming elections with weak governments. So I'm encouraged by all this, that we finally are seeing, especially in the gold market, geopolitics move that up or down.
Do you think that is sustainable, though? Because in the past, we've seen political gold prices always retract to the levels where they started fairly quickly.
Well, recently we have, but if we look back, let's remember back into the bull market years, when Bernanke would get up the dollar and talk about the Fed minutes, the dollar would go up or down, and gold could go up or down 50 or $100 sometimes within a couple of hours. So I think what we're hoping for, and I don't know if it's sustainable, is more volatility in the markets. The markets, even the major markets, the VIX is way low again. So I'm not a fan of flat markets because they don't give you entry and exit points. So anyway, that's what I'm seeing, that maybe now we're going to have some a geopolitical factor into the commodities markets, and I think we need that.
Yeah, it might tide us over nicely over the summer months, which are usually slower anyway. So it might
Exactly.
feed us some news flow,
And I
right?
guess my big news would be that yet another major mining company has pulled out of the Northern Dynasty deal, Pebble in Alaska. So First Quantum pulled the plug on that potential deal. That's the third major that's come in and pulled out within the last 5 or 6 years. And really the problem with Pebble, other than its environmental issues and NGO and billionaire opposition, is it's not an economic deposit. And you see the majors come in and do their due diligence and say, we can't make this work, and they walk away.
Sounds like the majors are coming to their senses.
We would hope so.
No, I don't see it happening yet, but they're still overpaid, or they overpaid in the last couple of years still for some projects, but they're getting more active, and I'm quite intrigued to see what's happening with Goldcorp's junior portfolio. And didn't Garofalo mention that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy? Like either they'll develop it themselves or they get bought out at the bottom. So sort of self-funding and self-fulfilling prophecies for them, but I don't believe it yet.
Well, I'm encouraged too, and we talked about this at the Vancouver Resource Conference, the fact that majors are increasingly taking equity positions in good junior exploration projects, especially in the gold end. And that's a bit like the old tech model: take an equity position in a junior, and if it's successful, then the major wins. And if not, you've just invested some money in exploration, and that becomes a tax write-off.
No, exactly. I'm looking forward to some exciting drill results over the summer. Is there something you're looking forward in particular, besides maybe taking a couple days off?
Well, I don't know how many days I will take off because the summer is quite a busy month for me. But there's ongoing drill programs of companies that I either hold and or cover that, especially in the western U.S. Integra's drilling now uh, at Delamar. Revival Gold will be drilling again at Bear Track. Allegiant Gold, we expect drill results anytime, and a new resource estimate coming at Eastside. Fremont Gold is drilling at Gold Bar. So
Lots
these
of
are
activity.
all, yeah, lots of activity, especially in the Great Basin and the Rocky Mountains of the U.S. It's field season, so I anticipate drill results coming out most of the summer.
No, it should be busy because a lot of companies are still financed from 2016 or even 2017, and that'll keep them busy. So I'm really curious to see what's happening in the fall now, when a lot of companies do have actually empty coffers, and they do need to come back to the markets desperately to raise more money for 2019, right? So that will be exciting. I hope we get to see some exciting drill results also from some of the companies you mentioned, because I do follow them quite closely as well. And I just hope for some drill success. Actually, regardless of who it is, the industry needs some excitement. We need some real success and something you can build on, and maybe even see another takeout or something over the summer. That'd be phenomenal. We need some activity.
Well, we certainly do. Markets are flat. Not a lot of interest in the Toronto Venture Exchange, down more than 9% over the year. But really, of concern is the little volume on that exchange. And, we're trading about one third the daily volume that we were in January when right before the weed and the cryptocurrency bubbles burst. So, not a lot of interest. We do not expect a lot of interest to come in the market during the summer, but we always look forward to Labor Day.
Oh, exactly. So to wrap things up, Mickey, we're gonna talk about our number of the week. Surprise us. What do you have for us in store this week?
1305, and that's the 200-day moving average of gold. And gold needs to get above that before it's going to go anywhere. My concern is if it does not get above 1305 and stay, that the bears will take over and we'll see a lower gold price. And certainly that is a possibility with the seasonal low for gold coming in the summer doldrums.
Interesting, because we broke 1306 or 1305 earlier today, but didn't hold, so there was no follow-up buying in the market. So we might be in for a slow summer, also in terms of the gold price and the bears taking over at least for the next 2-3 months here. So I hope
I
I've
think
got my
so.
fingers crossed, and fundamentals, as you mentioned, all the geopolitical reasons are there for pushing gold higher, but we've seen in the past it's not always what the obvious you think is moving the price. So yeah, my number of the week. I think I picked an interesting one, and people who attended my presentation in Vancouver might know that one already. But I think it's still an interesting number that I want to throw out there, and it's 26%. Meaning only 26% of all financings that we've tracked here at Oreninc since 2016, or sorry, in 2018, came without a warrant. That's down from
Mm.
31% in 2016 and 29% in 17. So that number is quite interesting because it gives you an indication of, I would say, the desperateness, but the peacocking effect, I'd call it, of mining companies trying to attract investors in the space. And vice versa, the number of deals with at least half a warrant has jumped to 31% in 2018. That's all January till April, and 43% for full warrants actually, and that's fairly flat over the years. But at least 31% of the deals come with half a warrant, while 26% come with zero warrant attached, which is quite interesting. So
That
that's
is interesting. So more power to the people that can finance without a warrant.
exactly, and like I think I gave one example in Vancouver as well. It's the stock of Corvus Gold, because that thing has been going up like nothing else in recent months. And one reason for that is actually a very clean share structure with no warrant or option overhang. So that, I believe, had put a ceiling, or would have put a ceiling on it, at least for a short while.
Yes, sir.
So perfect, Mickey. As always, thank you so much. There wasn't much to update investors on this week. We had a long discussion about oil last time, speaking about geopolitical factors for the gold price this week. A little shorter, but just as sweet, I think. And as always, thanks for making the time. It's, what is it, 8:30 almost where you are, and I appreciate you getting up early for us.
Thanks a lot, Kai. Always my pleasure.
Thanks, Mickey.